This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.
How are you?
Different folders.
It's a new fiscal year.
We have funds again.
Really? That's so exciting.
Yeah.
I think we wore out the yellow ones.
I think we found a line item to cut in the budget next year.
We wore out the yellow ones. Okay, I think it's 6 o'clock. So let me call the meeting of the Southampton Select Board to
Those can be
order.
signed, don't date them though.
Okay. And to begin, let's stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. All right, good evening, everyone. We have, let's see, tonight we have 3 of our members here, and Francine is joining us remotely, and Rini is still on vacation, so she won't be here at all. But because we're doing a remote session, when we do vote, we'll vote by roll call. All right, any open time for the public? Looks pretty bare at the moment. I know you're here for a different issue. I'm going to just make one announcement. Lucy had sent me something. Oh, by the way, as far as we know, all of our microphones are working tonight. I think you all should be able to hear us. If you're not watching on 191, it is live streaming on YouTube, and it is closed captioning now. So hopefully you can pick up the channels, if not live, then sometime thereafter. Lucy had sent me some information about the upcoming elections. We have a September 6th primary here in Massachusetts, and so we have some information on early in-person voting. So the early in-person voting hours for that primary will be Saturday, August 27th from 9 to 1 in the town clerk's office, and then Monday through Thursday, August 29 to September 1st during regular business office hours, and the offices still remain closed on Fridays, so Monday through Thursday on that. And then for mail-in voting, there's an application deadline to vote by mail is August 29th at 5 p.m. And if you didn't receive a card in the mail from the Secretary of State Galvin's office, contact Lucy to get information about that. And all ballots must be received back by September 6th at the close of polls. So if anybody has any questions, just contact Lucy at the town clerk's office. And that number is 527-8392. Okay? Great. Okay, so we have no presentations tonight, no quarterly reports. Let's jump to Ed and the town administrator report.
Sure, thank you. Just to let you know that the extension for remote meetings such as Zoom under the Massachusetts Open Meeting Law was signed by the Lieutenant Governor over the weekend and is now in effect through March 31st, 2023. So boards and committees may meet remotely through that date. The previous legislation allowing for remote meetings to be utilized expired at midnight on Friday, July 15th. And just to let you know, the repairs that we were required to repair the back entrance door at the Council on Aging Senior Center have been completed with a new door handle mechanism, new hinge, and new threshold. The cost of these repairs was $1,982.42. While the vendor was here, they also replaced 2 door sweeps on 2 basement door bottoms at $104. We have received our authorization from Mass DOT to spend the Winter Recovery Assistance Program, RAP funds, which have been authorized for the cities and towns in Massachusetts. Southampton was appropriated $225,841.75, which may be spent for 1, rehabilitation, reconstruction, resurfacing, or preservation of roadways and appurtenances. 2, repair of replacement of traffic control devices, signage, guardrails, and storm grates. Or 3, road striping or painting. Melanson is due to be here in the town hall next week to do their field work regarding the fiscal year 2021 year-end audit. And just to let you know, Bradley Oxon, Jen Day, and I had the demo of the first module, which was finance from SoftWrite for the Springbrook financial software package yesterday. We have 2 more different modules for demos scheduled for Wednesday and Thursday of this week from them. And Jen Day has reached out to Vadar, who is checking availability to schedule a demo of their financial software platform for us. And then upcoming select board meetings in August are the 2nd, the 16th, and the 30th.
Okay, thank you. I think you might have missed one select board meeting, August 2nd. We have 3 in August, unless we're not.
Second, yeah, I said 2nd, so even though it's not written there, I said 2nd, 16th,
okay, all
and
right.
30th.
So we actually have, August is one of the few months where we actually have 3 Tuesdays, so we will have 3 meetings. Good, okay. And that, glad to hear progress on the financial software. That's something we've been talking about for a while, and definitely want to put some of our ARPA money toward improving our financial software program. So that would be great if we can come up with information and decisions about how to do that. Whichever system meets our needs the best among the various financial departments. I assume this is going to go probably broader than just treasurer, accountant, maybe assessors, and whomever else would be involved.
Currently, the assessors don't use our financial software package. There may be an opportunity to do that. There may be an opportunity. We currently don't use our financial software package for our utility billing either. We do use our SoftWrite, which would be the same company as Springbrook for our current payroll. Vadar does not offer a payroll module, so we need to go out to a third-party payroll company that's compatible if we end up going that way. But depending on what we do, one of the things currently that maybe frustrates me a little bit, because I have operated in financial software that, shall we say, is a little broader than what we are currently using in SoftWrite. So, currently we all of us departments, boards, committees, fill out either on a form on our computer or handwritten a warrant vendor summary, shall we say, to be submitted every 2 weeks to pay the vendors. Those come in. The assistant town accountant or the town accountant enter those physically into the financial software system. They then go to the treasurer for proofing on that end. They end up getting eventually posted, the checks cut, what have you. One of the things we are looking at is expanding that, because these newer financial software packages have the ability for, you'd still need the backup sent in, obviously in hard copies, but has the ability for the departments, boards, or committees that are able to actually enter that right into the system. And there's an approval process that goes through. So it's, I look at it this way, okay? In our office, Judy does those. I proof them, I sign them, but she has to enter it into the computer. Then goes upstairs, gets entered again in the accounting office. If she were able to just enter that in, again, by the approval process in this particular case, because it's, our department, it would come to me electronically. I would check off approve. It would go to the next step to accounting or whatever. They would still look them over, obviously, and make sure everything's right. There's money in the accounts and whatever. But it's getting rid of some of the redundancies.
Right, absolutely, and a lot of hands-on work, which I think is part of the issue, just in terms of time efficiency and just workload issues. So that'll be great.
And that's just on the front end. There are all kinds of other possibilities of more expanded reports that everyone's been looking for.
Good. No, I'm glad to hear we've made some headway in terms of exploring that. So good.
Just on that front, though, do we already have an allocation or an encumbrance set aside within the ARPA funds?
We do not.
Not a specific amount. We've noted that that's on the to-do list. We were waiting for some cost amounts on this. And we know that any conversion of the software is going to be the largest part of the the process, probably. So,
And until we have a preferred one, I mean, ballpark, I'm going to guess it's somewhere around $85,000, $90,000. But I'm waiting to actually know what our preferred vendor is to plug in that figure, actual figure.
kind of hoping that we'd have all this information gathered, so by the time we do the second round of ARPA, beginning maybe the end of August, that we'll have some of those figures and we can kind of make some decisions at that point in time. So, good, all right. All right, any other questions for Ed on his report? If not, do we have any select board reports? Anybody have any meetings this last week? It feels like we just met a week ago.
I'll go through mine. So Finance met last week. They reviewed transfers, I believe, 4 through 7. And there was a good discussion on some of them. The note that I pulled out of the Finance Committee meeting is that they're pretty much going to go into summer recess. They tentatively have August 15th as a placeholder in the event that they need to meet. But they did ask that what the select board's feelings were. They would like to repeat this budget season as we did last year, where there were joint meetings to expedite and try to hold things together. So they enjoyed that. Well, they preferred that. So if the select board would like to do that, they'd like to use that approach again this year.
All right.
So.
Sounds good. All right.
And then just PPB will meet this Thursday, and Capital has not met.
Okay, good. Joy?
Sure. So, planning board met on July 6th. They reviewed they're going through the E-code revisions to the bylaws. Their next meeting is this Thursday, or this Wednesday, tomorrow, 7/20. Housing Authority met on 7/11. I think they also had an executive session on 7/14 to discuss the offer on the property they received funding for. In regards to Housing Authority, we just discussed drafting the bylaw and then bringing it to bylaw committee. And Concom met on 7/11 as well. They discussed trail cleanup, and they had 2 questions. Did finance approve the PRF and for the Concom or the PPB board? But it sounds like the PPB board. Do they need to approve the PRF?
The PRF for Concom was, I believe, already approved by.
Okay.
The piece that's being held up by PPB is just the scoring of the job description.
Okay.
And the finance, they modified it, and I think it's in our packet. We're going to bring it up later tonight.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Oh, it's canceled. Thank you. And Concom also wanted to know if the reference check for the company that won the bid for Manhattan Meadows came back yet?
What's that?
The reference check for the company that won the bid for the Manhattan Meadows. I believe they were waiting on that.
They still are.
They still are. Okay, I will let them know. And then Open Space met just tonight in regards to providing a motion to approve pursuing a land partnership grant through the state, which would help fund the town acquire 500 contiguous acres in town for conservation/open space recreation with in a collaboration with Kestrel. That is an ongoing thing, and I don't know if you have anything to add on that, Cindy.
I'm going to ask to go before the select board in a couple of weeks.
Sure. And I know that Conservation Commission is on that list too, to discuss that first. And their next meeting is August 25th.
Okay. Francine? Francine, anything?
Yes, I attended the Public Safety Complex Ad Hoc Committee in Reni's absence on July the 11th. And the committee really focused on the parameters and the resources it will be setting using at its next meeting to develop the terms of and conditions of the RFQ that they will be issuing. And the resources they're going to be using, they're going to go back and look at the original RFQ from the committee's prior work 7, 8 years ago, maybe longer. And the current RFQ that was developed by the Council on Aging as it's researching designers for and planners for the potential new COA building or complex or whatever. So that was then. Other meetings that are upcoming, the ZBA is meeting on August 1st. The local school committee is meeting August 10th. Bylaw committee has been postponed from tomorrow until Monday, July 25th. And the Board of Health's next meeting will be August 9th. And I just want to mention just to everyone, if they wonder where the HR work from the 5 towns in conjunction with the PVPC, it seems to be on hold. We haven't had a meeting in probably 2.5 months. We're waiting for a final report and a plan for next year's activity. I just don't want people to think it just disappeared and nothing was accomplished. It's still in the works. So that's it. Thank you.
Thanks, Francine. Can I assume that you've already reached out to Eric Weiss at PVPC to sort of give him a nudge and say what's going on with this? Because this is something we've been looking forward to.
I did, and the answer that I got was what I reported, that the final report is still in preparation. They do plan on having a meeting in the near future.
Okay. Okay, I guess we can't do much about that until we hear. All right, thanks for that. Okay. From my end, the grant committee is not going to meet again until early August, but we do have a cost efficiencies meeting on Wednesday, a week from Wednesday, coming up. And no new news on any grants since our last award. We should be hearing something on a Mass Trails grant and then on this Raise Federal grant somewhere within the coming month. I think those are 2 that are outstanding related to the bike path that could, at least we'll get an answer, whatever that answer may be. So there are 2 that we expect to hear from pretty soon. And then other ones that we're looking at, I think I mentioned last time, we're trying to keep an eye out with Ian in terms of some traffic control ones. So keep an eye out for some Department of Transportation grant possibilities to respond to a couple of requests that we've had in town. So that's it on reports. We have only one appointment tonight. Ed, do you want to take this one?
Yes. Joe Bianca for a reappointment to the ZBA, term to expire June 30th, 2025.
Okay. All right. Could we have a motion to approve that?
So move.
All right. Can I have a second?
Second.
All right. All those in favor, roll call, please.
Tishman, aye.
Piper, aye.
Fowles, aye.
Lumber, aye.
Okay. Very good. All right, that's it for appointments. Now, we have some new business tonight. The very first one is on the agenda is the Park Flower Fund, and I'm going to turn the meeting over temporarily to my vice chair because I need to recuse myself on this particular topic. John.
So we have email communication dated Monday, July 11th from a Teresa Barton that's in the file, as well as a historical narrative of what is described the Flower Fund. Who would like to?
And just a little history on this. Seems to be much like the Firemen's Association was. The town has had it, I won't say in their control, but on their books for a long period of time. However, it does not appear that it was actually, shall we say, a gift fund or anything like that to the town, that it was one of those things that was started and the town just agreed to keep track of it for this group. And that's the overview of history of what we have, and I'll let you go on, Cindy.
Hi, Cindy Palmer, 71 Glendale Road, and I'm
co-chair of a newly formed group, just a few months old, really, several months old, called the Good Earth Gardeners. This is not a town board or a committee. And I'm going to turn it over to my other co-chair in a moment here to introduce herself. But I just want you to know this is a real group of town residents that we are in conversation about moving towards becoming a 501c3 organization, and I'm going to let Susan Siebold explain a little more of the background, and then I have a few comments.
Thank you. Hi, Susan Siebold, and I live at 2 Delisle Road. So Cindy mentioned we started this new group late winter, early spring. There are a number of people in town that are interested in gardening, pretty knowledgeable. There were other people that knew of some opportunities in Southampton where we could do some gardening. I'll tell you the purpose of the group is the Southampton Good Earth Gardeners promote a love of gardening in home and civic landscapes. We encourage environmentally responsible practices by conserving native species in a changing climate. And just to mention the projects that we're working on right now, at Labrie Field, we have a small pollinator garden established, as well as a little clover/sunflower house there. And in front of the old schoolhouse, we've planted primarily perennial plantings along the fence that had been planted before. I'll keep going. Okay, so we have a few more plans for the future. We have both Asclepias and Echinacea set to be planted at the post office. We're just waiting for the weather to be agreeable. And primarily, we're besides these plantings, we're really interested in educating. We've got a program that we're hoping to do October 1st from a local author that will speak about meadow making.
So we're trying to be concise and to the point here to tell you that this is a real organization. And I know if you've read the letter from Terry Barton, she did a fabulous job for something like 14 or 15, 16 years. And she heard about this organization starting, and she let us know that there was this fund and said, why don't you use that? And I'm here to request that we be able to remove that from the town funds and utilize it for the funds specific for the mission that Susan just read, and that we would manage those funds. We're a lot like a Friends organization. We're not called Friends, but, you know, Friends raise money for the library or the Council on Aging, et cetera. And we, over time, look forward to having fundraising of some kind, maybe a plant sale, other kinds of things. And so I'm glad Ed gave a little background as to what it is similar to, and I think it's in this roughly the $600+ range right now. So that's our request.
Do you know the fund number? What's the corresponding line item? The town administrator.
Let's see. Hang on just a second.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I got it for you.
Yep.
I can't tell you if it's a revenue fund or whatever, but it's 245100.057.
It's got a balance in it of $865.70.
Are you on the current, what's in our folder?
Yes.
What page?
Page 7. And
Repeat that amount, Ed.
800, hang on a second, now I've lost it. $865.70, and it's right about halfway down page 7, John.
Park Flower Fund.
I got library, park renovations, Labrie Field, AED, and pickleball courts.
It's on page 7, Park Flower Fund. It's halfway down.
Of the revenue?
No,
Expense.
of the expense. Oh, sorry. Should have clarified that.
You have questions
Did you
first?
get-
Should we sit down?
I don't know. No, you can sit for a moment, sure. Discussion amongst the committee, if any?
I don't have any questions besides, do we, do they have to be formed as a 501c3 or, I don't know what the process is for something like this.
They would have to be formed as a group. I can check on the 501c3. The board, if it wished to, could form a motion and vote that they would be in favor of transferring these funds over to the committee being formed if the treasurer and the town accountant were to look at the history of this and come to a determination that there's no evidence that these funds were given to the town as a gift or in any other manner to stay in control of the town.
Which, based on the limited research that you did, you don't believe that to be accurate, right? That they
I don't.
were given for this purpose?
Yeah, the town accountant has got some of the records, and just like with the Firemen's Association, I recognize that the town treasurer is responsible for these funds, so I would want her to come also to that same determination that there is no obvious evidence that these were originally given to the town as a gift fund or anything else to stay in the town's control. And I know she would also want the select board to vote on that too and not leave it up to her decision if that's what we find for the evidence. But that's what I believe we're going to find from what I've seen in a preliminary investigation. And then the biggest question is, can we turn them over to someone that is not a 501c3?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so that would also have to be determined.
So are you saying there needs to be more research done before we can have a motion on the table?
Like I say, you can make a motion and vote on it with those conditions.
With those two caveats?
So,
Or you could decide we want the investigation and, to be done.
Right,
Want
so
the answer on, can it be turned over to a nonprofit that isn't not a 501c3, and what is the determination of the town treasurer and the town accountant?
right, so there's multiple issues. Go ahead, Cindy.
So I think debate, research is always a good idea. However, we do have a few receipts of purchases that have been made for the gardens that you already heard about. Not much, like, I don't know, $100 or so. So if it's not possible to make the decision tonight to turn it over, could we complete a warrant, send it in, sign off, and be reimbursed for the amounts that we already have spent? So that's a question I'm going to ask. Remember, Terry Barton just thought this was a holding place. She didn't think this was anything but designated for flowers. That was her memory of how this fund was created. So I need to know an answer to that, because we do have a few receipts that need to be reimbursed to the members that have spent money.
So the couple of issues is, one, step, in no particular order, is we need the treasurer to certify that within her records she has no vote creating this fund or establishment, much like a scholarship fund, would have been done, which we believe is lacking, and she's not going to find it. So she needs to ask.
Right, or something like is listed under the gift funds for like an AED or what have you.
Correct, but again, historically, if that had happened, there would have been a vote, or something would have happened that would have been voted, certified, sent to the treasurer, therefore allowing the treasurer to create that fund.
Correct.
This happened prior to the current treasurer.
Yes.
So we just need to ask the treasurer to research their files, because in theory, at some point, this popped up on an audit, right? Possibly, and they would have, my guess is not going to find anything. But she needs to look at, the taxable issue is moving from a nonprofit to a group that hasn't been certified nonprofit creates a taxable event. Which we could do, but then the onus would be on the town to then issue you a 1099 within the tax year. And yes, we're only talking about 800 and some odd dollars, so it'd be a 25% tax penalty. If you accept the funds prior to being established as a
Okay, so once we are established as a 501c3,
then it's a nonprofit
it's a nonprofit to a nonprofit. Okay, that's good to know. Okay. We don't want taxes, yeah.
Right, but do you want to pay the $500 to establish a nonprofit? And then annually going forward?
I was told that there is a new process for filing with the IRS, that there's a short form.
There is, but you got to get through the Commonwealth first, through Secretary Galvin's office to get your tax ID number. And then you go to the IRS on the short form if you're under X amount of dollars. That being said, I'm not a tax accountant, and I can't.
I didn't know you had to put, it's $500? I mean, I haven't done this.
Annual, I mean, there are some ongoing expenses to create
Yeah.
the group, depending on what you.
So.
But in the short term,
Yep. So back to my question.
if you were to submit invoices.
Yes.
Up to, but less than the 865, assuming that historically that had happened, but I'm getting the finger over there being told no.
Be careful, Ed. It's not the finger, it's a finger. But just as we go down that road, what are the dates of the receipts?
Within the last 4 months.
So prior fiscal year?
Are they prior to July 1st, 2022?
Yes.
Okay. Then the first thing we would need is an encumbrance, because we're out of that fiscal year, and we need that before July 27th, and then, yes, we could do that as a reason.
So I just saw an encumbrance letter kind of go floating through to the planning board, so that's what we need, something that sort of anticipates future expenses? Is that what that is?
We would basically attach those invoices, say, we want to encumber these funds, here are the receipts of what we spent,
Oh, I need, okay.
X amount of dollars.
I can help you walk through that, Cindy.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But
Susan can do it.
historically, that's been accepted, correct? On this particular fund, that's how this fund has been drawn down historically, is by submitting for reimbursements?
I don't remember any particular ones since I've been here.
I don't even
know
think-
there have
yeah.
been, but yeah, it would have had to been, I would assume, by reimbursement rather than submitting directly to a vendor to the town for the flowers.
Right, so I think you're on two tracks. Track number one
Yeah.
is get what you've already spent, the documentation to support those,
Right.
and then put a cover letter together with the town administrator's assistance to encumber those funds, which will
Okay.
then allow them to be paid out.
Okay.
Track number two is that we can, in the meantime, we can ask the treasurer through a motion to certify that there's nothing in the files creating this as an official fund.
Okay.
And it was just a placeholder as indicated by the email that we received. And then we could make a motion potentially that upon submission of proof that you're a 501c3, we could release the funds into
Yeah.
your custody.
And in the meantime, if it takes time to become a 501c3 or an expense that we don't want to incur or a hassle, then we could continue going forward as we purchase specific to the mission. We could continue to submit and be reimbursed out of that fund. And then if we did our own fundraising, we don't.
Objection from me. What about the rest of the
Is
committee?
there any reason to be concerned about that?
If you would consider these at that point, town funds, and know that, okay, to spend money on flowers or whatever for over there or any other place, that either have the invoice made out to the town, or if you had to bring in the reimbursement form, that should be acceptable.
Right. And we can help you
You're
with
starting
this.
to walk a fine line, because guess what? You just made it public that these may not be town funds, which if our auditors found that out, they'd say get rid of them, which we'd have to give them to somebody.
So I'd go buy flowers.
Okay, very good. Excellent point. Just to say, anyone listening to this meeting tonight, we welcome people to become a member. There is no fee to be involved, no membership fee, and no obligation, but we welcome volunteers to participate in these programs. And you can contact me at lucindamail@yahoo.com. My first name is Lucinda. lucindamail@yahoo.com. Thank you.
Thanks, Cindy.
Can I just say something?
Go ahead, Francine.
Just to let people know that process of going in and applying for a 501c3, it's not all that difficult, but you have to have certain documentation in place. For instance, you have to have approved bylaws that state your mission, that define the structure, that defines the officers, the elections, to as an organization to submit to the IRS for approval. They just, there has to be some structure and rules in place that they approve. And there are some guidelines that, of requirements of information that need to be in those. So it's not impossible. I'm just saying, looking ahead a little bit, you're gonna have to put some work in on that.
Yep. Usually the biggest issue with creating the 501c3 is you need a CPA and you need an attorney. Those two things you have to weigh against what the cost of that is against what you're trying to do and set up. So that is usually the barrier to entry.
Thanks, Vincent.
Okay, so do we want to do anything?
Do we want a motion, or do we want to leave it as is until your group has made a decision?
I guess it wouldn't hurt to inquire through the treasurer.
No, okay.
Just to clarify the files.
So I move that is it the treasurer?
Yes.
Correct, the treasurer. Do research in regards to whether this fund is a gift to the town, and if not, to report back to the select board their findings or non-findings.
Right, either way, report.
Either way, yeah, either way, report back.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Discussion, hearing none, all in favor, roll call.
Fishman, aye.
Piper, aye.
Lumbra, aye. Okay, thank you.
I'll get Chris. Thanks, Joy.
Mass in motion.
Thank you, thank you. All right. Up next is the Mass in Motion training session. If we all recall, this was something that we had signed on to. It was a request from Caitlin Marquis that had come to us several months ago, I believe. And we hadn't heard too much, and then all of a sudden, things have come up. And so basically, they are going to be having some training sessions, and they're looking for a representative, I believe, from Southampton to attend this. We are one of various towns that have signed on to this, and I think they wanted a representative from each town, the way I read this. And this was for training. I'm trying to find the date here. Anybody else see it?
The 29th,
Yep.
29th of July.
but I didn't see a time.
Yeah, I didn't either. And this actually, though, it goes not only to the select board, but it was really also directed, I believe, to,
So the training's August 10th,
Or August
10 a.m.
Oh,
to
it's
4 p.m. in
August 10th?
Westboro.
oh, yeah, there we go, sorry, thank you.
Oh.
Reply by the 29th.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry.
Right,
Thanks for
right.
clarifying. I just saw the bold.
Yep, no, I'm sorry, absolutely. So, yeah, so the training is August 10th in Westboro, but they want a response by the 29th. But this also went to the Board of Health, I believe, and I'm thinking the Planning Board as well. So I'm not sure, this might be more in the Board of Health purview. I don't know, Francine, when was the next meeting for the Board of Health? Is not till like the 9th, is it really?
It's August 9th.
Yeah, and they want an answer on this by the 29th, whether there would be a representative from the community attending, to attend the training.
I believe a representative of this program I know a representative of this program gave a presentation to the Board of Health some months ago.
Okay,
And the components here are largely I think, in the Board of Health's camp,
yeah,
this program.
Yeah, it went to,
And I'm not looking and saying it should be the director of the Board of Health. Perhaps it could be a member of the Board of Health.
right. Yeah, I think they just want one person to attend the
Yes.
training.
yeah,
right?
and
Yes.
it went to the health director here in Southampton, and it also went to the planning board.
Yeah. So I would think it would be really more the Board of Health. Maybe we could just, we can just send this over to them just to remind them and ask them if they will be sending anybody, and if not, we'll do an official response
Yeah.
to the folks saying that Southampton, unless anybody here has got the time to attend, I don't know.
I mean, if no one else is able to, for my calendar, it looks like I might be available, but I don't have my other calendar on me.
Okay.
So, it looks like I could, if no one else absolutely
Okay.
cannot.
Well, let's put it out to the Board of Health first and see if they have somebody already kind of in line for this since they received it. And if they don't, then we'll touch base with Joy and see how that works. We've still got a little bit of time before we have to respond, but it would be good to be represented at the event here and get some training and better understanding of what this is all about. So,
Yeah,
with that-
and just so that you know, my understanding of this is that this is a 10-year project. So this is long-term.
Is it long-term? Okay. Okay. All right, well, good to get on the ground floor, maybe.
Yes,
See
absolutely.
how it's going to evolve, I don't know. Okay, so that's what we'll do. We'll reach out to Board of Health first, and then come back to Joy, and if everyone has agreed, and if Joy is volunteering, I'm fine with her representing Select Board, if it comes to that. Okay. All right, moving on, quarterly calendar. We had talked a little bit last time about continuing our notion with the quarterly reports from the various department heads and committees and boards, and trying to pare it down a little bit and make it a bit more manageable, and trying to put it in just one meeting of the month, usually the first meeting, rather than doing two meetings. And so this was a first stab at it, and it basically gets everybody in just once rather than twice. So two first questions. We do have two meetings in August, and we had carried over Hoyok Gas and Electric, Eversource, and Charter for that second meeting in August. We had them, I think, thinking they might come in toward the end of June or whatever. That was originally on our calendar. But if we could get them, this would allow us to perhaps give them enough heads up to send someone to talk to us. But I think I would like to be sure that we orient them as to what we want them to talk about, because otherwise I think we may not have a very productive discussion. So that's just a question. That would be for the second meeting, which I think is the 16th of August. And then I had asked Ed to reach out to Senator Vilas and Rep. Pease to see whether they could possibly be free to come to us on the third meeting of August. And I don't know if they've had a chance to respond on that, Ed? Yeah, not yet, okay. So if they don't, they can move further down. I made a space for them in January just in case, giving them a lot more lead time, assuming, just in case they couldn't come in August, we can swap a couple things around. But this is just a first draft, and we don't really have to decide on it tonight, but just, we can wait till we think about it and have another meeting, but this really just gets everybody once around, rather than as much as we did last time. Any first thoughts and reactions to it? In terms of timing, just trying to get in things with the budget season. I was trying to be somewhat in sync with what we would be doing from, the December to March timeframe, in terms of, having the accountant and treasurer and assessor in there, and then some work with the school, and then planning and housing, et cetera. So, any thoughts?
Nope, looks fine.
Yeah,
That's good.
okay. Francine, any thoughts? Yeah, go ahead.
I just have a question on Representative Pease.
Yep,
He's mentioned several times that not until the election is it official, so
yeah.
what he has to say to us, and that's all I'm saying. I'm looking and saying maybe the second date that you have, which would be after, and we hear what his platform is. What is he going to do in the interest of Southampton?
Because the election will be
I
in
guess
September,
it has a
right?
place in both instances. It could be in August, although it's not official until after the election. At least that's
Elections in November.
November, okay, so it's
Primary
just the
September.
primary in September,
Right.
right, yeah. Well, that's a point. I don't think we want to invite one without the other. I was trying to keep the two of them together, just
I agree.
protocol-wise. So I know he has come to a couple of our events, so whether he's officially, he's kind of, it seems like he's somewhat sharing duties a little bit with Rep. Sabadosa, but at the same time, she's very much taken on her new duties in her new regions, so we've got it out there. Let's see if they respond. If they can come, I'd like to grab them. If they can come in August, and if they can't, then we'll put them on for January. How's that? Okay?
Good. Fine.
So we can tweak this a little bit, but this is probably a solid draft, and we might bring it back up once we hear about their attendance. And does anybody have, I think I'd like to, generate 3 or 4 questions for like Holyoke Gas and Electric and Charter and Eversource. I mean, do we have some basic information that we would want them to talk to us about if we invite them? I mean, we need to give them something, I think. So any thoughts on that? What you would like to hear from them?
Well, I think it, like, on just HG&E, or you're asking in regards to all 3 of those?
Well, if we had all 3 of them in.
I don't have the same question for all 3.
No,
Each one I have unique
correct.
questions for.
Sure, no, different questions for everybody, sure, yeah.
Yeah, so like Eversource, what's the status of the infrastructure within town that you're already maintaining? What are your plans for enhancements or upgrades within the town? Are you going to switch over the streetlights? We know the answer, but
Yeah,
they get that out.
Okay.
Charter seems to be around the internet speeds and the reliability.
and cost as
Yep.
well.
And G&E is based on, what if anything, because, they are an enterprise and they're a monopoly, much like all the utilities. But, with them, are they open to expansion? If we're considering an MLP here, that doesn't stop us from creating our own power company. Doesn't mean we have to go and build the infrastructure. We have 2 municipal power companies on 3 of our borders.
Correct. Yeah, and we've actually, through the tech committee, we've already reached out to both HG&E and Whip City. So we've had presentations from both of them about
But on internet, have you talked about electricity and the gas?
No, it's been about the MLP.
Right.
It's been about the MLP, yeah.
Right, so, a municipal light plant. So once the municipal light plant passes for internet, you can automatically move to electricity and gas, which both those providers already have. And And again, because it's coming up again, they're talking about the gate expansion down on the Westfield Southampton line is moving forward, at least on the Hoyle Commission side.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So an update.
Yeah,
you know.
okay, just an update of what's going on, yeah. Okay, anything else? Joy, any thoughts?
Not at the moment. I will definitely let you know if I have questions by that time.
Yeah. Francine, anything in particular that comes to mind?
Well, I think John hit the nail on the head. I'm looking for customer satisfaction and questions have been brought to us and concerns by residents about, I would say, primarily the charter services and the lack of coverage or the weakness of signals in certain parts of the town is I think, a main issue, in addition to the cost. And then whether or not HD&E will lift the moratorium on expanding its services to existing homes. And right now, I believe they're accommodating new buildings, new structures, but they're not taking into consideration existing neighborhoods that don't have access
Okay.
to natural gas.
Yeah, okay. Ed, anything that you could, just from knowing these guys, anything you want to add?
Everyone's covered it very well.
Yeah, so I think in general then, some levels of update, coverage, costing, plans for the future, the customer satisfaction kinds of questions. Okay, all right. Well, we'll see if we can get any of those reps to join us on that second meeting in August, and if we can, we will keep that going. So we'll update that probably on the August 2nd meeting to know what's happening there. Extensions for remote meetings, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Through the chair,
Yes.
would the board have any interest in skipping forward to the PCF for the police officer rather than making the police chief sit and wait for that?
Well, he was just here to listen.
Surely, we could do that. Certainly, let's do that. We have a PCF for Joel Kupayan, is that his name? As a patrol officer. Yeah. So Ian, would you like to just tell us a little bit? This would be a full-time benefited position, I believe.
Ian Illingsworth, Police Chief. This was a position that I had requested the union vote on accelerated benefits to include vacation as well as pay, just to make it more marketable and have a more experienced officer that's certified. And to our benefit, that worked. We had a certified police officer that currently works for the town of Hadley, who's a resident in town, applied for the position and accepted the conditional offer of employment.
Okay, great. Okay. So this would replace your...
This would replace the previous officer that resigned as a full-time police officer.
And switch to part-time?
Yes.
Right. Trying to keep them all straight. Okay. All right, so we have a PCF in front of us. Any thoughts? Yeah.
The other abnormal thing here is this isn't starting at step one.
Correct. This is starting higher up on the scale?
Yes, based on his experience. So the PRF that I submitted relative to this in the letter explained that. And
I believe that Chief Illingsworth, through working with the police union, got approval from the police union to...
That's correct.
To
Yes.
hire at a step higher than step one, depending on the individual.
on his experience, correct.
Mm-hmm.
And the union approved it.
And this is a 10-year veteran
Yes.
already, and
Yes.
but would still be on a 1-year probationary period with
Yes,
us?
yes.
Okay. Interesting. All right, any further questions?
Just, are you already through your cover letter here, one of two? Are you already through all your other due diligence and you're looking for the last thing, which is approval of your appointment by the Southampton Select Board?
So we completed the background check, we completed the psychological screening, and just the approval of the Personal Policy and Procedures Board and the Select Board, yes. And firearms training, but to do that, he's got to get employed first. So the firearms training and less than lethal training.
Okay. All right.
And if the select board was interested in doing this, I might suggest making the motion conditional upon the PPB approval on Thursday night. I tried to save a couple weeks by putting it a couple days ahead.
Yeah, okay. All right. Well, and so we note that this is a little bit of a different situation just because we are bringing in somebody that not at the beginning step of
Not at the
where they would
step
come
one.
at. Yeah.
Correct.
But having
And-
gone through the union and gotten approval on that.
I got approval from the union, yes.
Okay. All right, got it.
And it really was just to try to make it more marketable. So if we were to hire somebody without the training, we're looking at well over 6 months prior to
Yeah,
that person even.
training alone is 26 weeks, I
Yes.
believe.
Yeah, right.
And on your PRF, it's July 1st or when approved, so. it hasn't
The
actually
PRF, I
started.
believe, July 1st, I think it's, the PRF was July 1st, the personal change I had on the PCF, I have 8/1 or upon approval.
Right. Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve the individual as contingent upon the successful completion of all conditional offers as spelled out in the letter, effective today.
Except for the firearms training, because he can't
Well,
do that until he
but
gets.
it's, yeah, but I'm saying the appointment, he can move forward with the appointment, but if he fails that, he's out. You know, I'm saying he's still got to meet all these things, we're not bypassing that
Okay,
Sure.
to get to the appointment.
okay.
If he
sorry.
fails that, he wouldn't make the probationary period
Sure,
anyway.
right, okay, okay. Sorry to interrupt, John, go ahead.
That's fine, effective today, 7/19.
All right, could I have a second?
Second.
All right. Any further discussion?
Oh,
I
and
just
also
add,
conditional upon PPB.
Right, I think John said that, yeah. Francine, yeah?
yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Okay, conditional upon PPB's signature this approval later on this week. Okay.
Yes.
All right, all those in favor, roll call, please.
Station I.
Piper, aye.
Lumber, aye.
Fowles, aye. Okay.
Thank you.
Very good. Thanks, Ian. All righty, very good. Thank you, Ed.
Not only did you doubt I was going to put it on the agenda, but see, I didn't let you sit there either.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, no.
I reached out to Eddie and already took care of it.
Yeah, all right, very good. Thank you very much. We'll come back around on those. Okay, so let's go back just to the new business. We've only got a couple of other items here. So the extension on the remote meetings, the update, I think, Ed, do you want to just run through that? You mentioned it briefly in your report, but just so that everybody hears it again in case they weren't listening at the very beginning.
Sure. The Senate and the House did approve new legislation late last week, I believe it was on Thursday, to extend the remote meeting portion of the open meeting law without the onerous condition on it that on March 31st, 2023, that when this left effect, that we would all have to be required to do hybrid meetings for all meetings. So that was eliminated from it. The Lieutenant Governor did sign it either on Saturday or Sunday. I've heard the two different dates. But it is, and it went into effect immediately upon signing through the governor's office. So it is in place. Any Southampton town boards or committees or commissions that wish to meet remotely through means such as Zoom may do so through the expiration date of this legislation of March 31st, 2023.
Okay, very good. All right. I think that's pretty clear. That certainly accommodates a few people. The notion of having a hybrid meeting, I think, would have been terribly difficult logistically for us to do that, given our schedule and our lack of technology.
Lack of technology,
for what we have right here.
and financially, it would have been an enormous burden because of the fact the only room we currently have set up with the technology to do that, and that doesn't even go into we really need additional person power to run those meetings, which has an extra cost. But it means that any board or committee that wants to meet would have to meet in this room
Right.
currently. And, there are times or evenings when we have 2 or 3 meetings going on
The same time.
in this building,
Yep.
at the same time, and that would no longer be possible, so.
Okay, good. All right, next item is the website conversion update. I'll turn that one over to Ed as well.
Just to let you know that the Ad hoc Technology Committee did meet, I believe it was last Monday, and I forget the date, and they are in favor of moving forward with Civic Plus to do a website conversion. However, I have to let them know that that proposal that had been out there has now expired, and the new proposal is more expensive, so. And there's some significant changes to it also, so, yeah.
But probably wouldn't change to the other vendor, or, I mean, is it that different, that close? To be discussed again?
I mean, it's still probably a 30% difference between the two, but, and I have to talk to the vendor to get all the details. But their yearly support costs have gone up fairly substantially, and some of the terms that I have seen in the proposal they sent back, some of the items that the first proposal had in it have been reduced. So I'm going to have to spend some time, go over that with them and bring it back to the Ad hoc Technology Committee and see, okay, with these changes, are you still interested in moving forward with this company?
Okay. Because I believe this is one where we had put money aside already on the ARPA.
I believe so.
ARPA funds on this one.
Yeah, I
so
believe we put, I think, 15,000.
Yeah, I think we were ready to go on that. Yep. Okay, all right. Next, our FY22 expense and revenue reports, and just to clarify, we are through 6:30, 22, are we? Or on the expense reports, or not?
Well,
I just never know with the date on these reports. Do we still
Yes.
have a final couple bills coming?
well, we still have the encumbrances to come in that would be taken out of these accounts, and that won't occur till July 27th.
Okay. And then revenues still need to be updated beyond the end of March, right?
Beyond the end of March 2022, correct.
And is that something that I assume Jen is working on during her?
Right now, there's both Bradley and Jen are still working on getting everything together that the accountants are looking for next week.
For the audit?
For the audit, and then, yes, that would be the next step.
Okay. Anybody have any questions on expenditure and revenue report offhand? We're assuming that some of these things will get corrected. I know we had been dealing with that lockup one is still on there, and then the various cow power ones, et cetera, will all get ironed out at some point here before the audit or as part of the audit? How does?
Well, the audit's 21.
Oh, that's right, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Yep.
this is 22.
Correct. Okay. Correct. Okay. Anybody have any questions on what you're seeing there? So we will have another FY22 report at some point in time?
We'll probably have a couple more.
Well, didn't we give them a deadline? I think it's the second meeting in August.
I was
right?
thinking we did, and that's what I was trying to
Because
remember.
encumbrance isn't in here, and I'm guessing, again, without any detail, we just get PDFs showing up in our inbox. Our transfers 1 through 7 in here. Last time around, it was 1 through 3.
Yeah,
I'm thinking they are, but I'm not so sure that number 7 made it in.
maybe.
And
not.
Yes, they are all in here now.
All right, so then it's just whatever's left for encumbrances, which are still open until Wednesday or Thursday? I'm trying
Whatever
to
the
remember off.
27th is.
So we won't get the final one until after that part.
Right.
Right.
But
Yeah, the
I
27th.
I don't want to be cruel, but I almost don't even want to see these until
Well,
we get to the deadline.
Yeah.
And then let's, because you spend your time and energy looking at these things, and
So-
they need to do the cleanup and get caught up.
Right.
And then we can,
Then we can move forward
yeah.
together, right? So then, Ed, if I'm hearing you, you're saying that on the second meeting in August, we should be up to date on this, maybe? That would be the 16th?
Well, technically, other than anything that is out of place, like the lockup or whatever, that has to have some research done on it, actually, everything else should be in here by the beginning of August. Yeah. So, yes, we should be ready for the middle of August.
All right, well, let's,
Right, and just to be clear, for those listening at home tonight with my microphone on, that the auditor, it should have been communicated to the auditor and the treasurer that they are to meet that deadline. Failure to meet that deadline is fine, but they need to communicate prior to that night that they're not going to be able to do it. Otherwise, the select board is expecting all this to be done.
the accountant and the, not the auditor.
I'm sorry, the town accountant and the town treasurer.
Yeah,
Understanding that, the 25th was their deadline for 21's audit stuff, so they have until July 25th to do that. Then there's the fieldwork piece. But
so realistically, do we want to make this a final report for FY '22 expenditures for the last meeting of August rather than the second meeting? We don't know how much time is going to be taken with the field work, do we, for the auditor coming in?
Well, again, that's 21, not 22.
I know, but it's taking their time away from doing something like,
Yeah, well, I know they're going to, after, when they do the field work, they're going to have other questions, so.
But they picked up their Fridays, too.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's aim for August 16th, then on a second meeting of August for the FY '22 expense and revenue report. All right, thank you. All right, any other business that can't wait till the next regular meeting? I think, Ed, you had something?
Yes, we have a disability, short-term disability approval. We only received the doctor's note yesterday, but the individual is a town employee, is eligible for the short-term disability, and will undergo surgery on July 27th. So I would ask if the select board would please approve the short-term disability that is in front of them.
I'll make a motion to approve the short-term disability for the employee stated on the form effective July 27, 2022, with an anticipated end date of September 15, 2022.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor, roll call, please.
Fishman, aye.
Piper, aye.
Lumber, aye.
Fowles, aye. Okay, taken care of. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I
Appreciate
have a question, and it might just be reminding me. Where are we, or what do we need to do for the fiscal '22 audit? Do we need to
We
go
have-
out to bid for that? Do we need to award it?
Yeah, we signed the hang on.
I think that's just 21. I don't think we've
21,
done
we signed the
anything for
engagement
22.
letter. No, we
Right.
need to get on track, and if we're going to go out for bids on, or quotes on the,
Yeah, if you're going to go out for proposals, that was some of the preliminary discussion.
right, so we were talking about maybe doing a 3-year arrangement, but we need to go out for proposals on that. So that is something we ought to put on the agenda to discuss in terms of other firms that we might like to approach.
Well, I mean, we could put it on the agenda to discuss, or we are going to go out to bid, so maybe the action item is to start a draft process for us to look at a draft RFP.
Yeah, a draft, yeah. A draft RFP, yeah.
Right, and it could have multiple, it could be a 1-year, it could be a one with multiple 1-year extensions, a 3-year, and after the town meeting passed, right, we could even go up to 5 years,
Correct.
depending on the pricing.
Okay, yes. All right, so on our next agenda, we can have or in the next agenda or two, we'll come up with a draft RFP, just that we can discuss terms and things that we'd like to see, okay? Should be very similar, I would assume, to what we normally do for an audit in the past, I would assume. Okay, old business, I think, is where we are. Just a couple things on ARPA. Okay, two things. We have in front of us, was asking, I guess, responding partly to Joy's question. In the package, we have a PRF for the conservation agent position, which has now been signed by the Finance Committee. I'm assuming PQB will take it up once they've finished their scoring, but the note here was ARPA funds posting, and the posting needs to include that this is funding from a grant. That was a request of the Finance Committee, and so that should be ready to go as soon as PQB finishes its scoring. And I think the only thing we need, unless they have done this is the more the full job description, but the posting is usually just a couple paragraphs of the summary of the job, which I don't know that I've seen, but that's usually, I think, what Ed puts out on the bulletin boards. So that may be something that has to be written up if it hasn't been written up. I'm not positive on that. The other thing, just we mentioned it, I think, briefly last week, we had some discussion in our June 21st meeting on our second go-around on the ARPA applications, and we had mistakenly gone a little bit backwards on this. This had been a 2-year request for a part-time conservation agent for $19,500 each of 2 years for a total of $39,000. We had, in our discussions that time in June, we got ourselves a little bit confused, I think, and we were tying it mistakenly to the fiscal year rather than the calendar year. And as a result, the motion had been to reduce that down to an 18-month request to $29,250. According to my notes, and I would like us to rectify that, because according to the rules of ARPA, these funds can be encumbered for 2 years through the end of December 2024. They have to be allocated by then. They don't have to be spent until 2026. But we had talked ourselves incorrectly in our discussions about this, where we had gone with this. So the original request of $39,000, which was $19,500 for each of 2 years, I think is still the request, and that was originally what we had entertained when it was a possible budget item. So that would be my desire would be to correct that and then make the motion that we revise our approval on this particular one from the $29,250,000, which was the 18-month amount, to the 2-year amount, which was the $39,000. So I'll make that as a motion.
I'll second it.
Any discussion on that? Just to correct
I understand why we're doing that, but when are we going to do the other ones that were impacted as well?
The next time we get around to the next round of ARPA, I think. So probably in the end of August will be the next round. We haven't got any, I think we have one new application in, that's all we've seen. So we were going to try and wait till all of those come in and see what else we've got coming at us too. So at this point in time. Okay. All right. Any further questions, discussion?
No, just that yes, this job description, you said we just need to reduce it down to just a summary form for the posting?
I think if you look at other postings that are out on the bulletin board or on the website, it's usually, correct me if I'm wrong, it's just a paragraph or two. It's not the full.
And then it refers you to the job description.
Yeah, it refers you to the job description, but the summary that gets put on the website is a shorter.
I'll see if the Conservation Commission has some already summary from.
I doubt that they do. I think.
I had a conservation agent
I've already
before.
volunteered to help Marla with
okay,
that.
perfect.
Yeah, no, but that was a long time ago, and that probably has changed too. So just in terms of how we've done it, like with highway employees or town hall employees, there's just a shorter thing that gets put up on the bulletin board referring to the full job description. That's all that is. So that will allow that to move forward once we get the final scoring on this. Yes, John?
Well, no, just, I'm going to vote I'm going to vote against this, but it's not because I oppose the position at all. It's only that I oppose singling out one particular, giving special preferential treatment. If this was part of a bigger conversation, we applied that same rule of the 18 months to other positions in there, and if we're going to leave them until August, then they should all be taken up together or not, and that's the only reason why I'm opposed to this motion.
Well, I think at this point in time, well, all I'm trying to do is rectify this one that had come in. We had voted it originally for 2 years for $38,400, and then we erroneously talked ourselves into a rabbit hole and reduced it. And so I'm just trying to correct the record on that one. The other ones for Norris came into us as 18-month requests.
Because that was the written instructions that this board, through the TA, gave. And that's what we.
I'm not
But
clear on that.
I'm just going to
not clear on that. I don't think so.
disagree with that
Excuse
statement.
me, point of order. I'm stating my position before I vote no,
That's
so that
fine.
it's understood at home as to why I'm voting against this.
That's correct, that's fine.
I'm happy
Yeah.
to debate it if anybody wishes to.
We can go back and take a look at the instructions we sent out, and on the application form itself, I believe it talks about the December 24 deadline.
And I would look at the wording of the email that the attachment was
So.
attached to.
Okay. So at this point in time, I would like to move forward with this, and we will find a date when we have other ARPA discussions to be had. We have only one new application in. The applications, for anybody listening out there, the application forms are still on the website. We do have a second round of funding. We've got around, I don't have the exact figure, but we have around $750,000 at least with us. We don't have the new money. I don't think that's come in, has it, Ed, the second tranche? But we were expecting a second tranche of money for the ARPA money. These will all get posted up on the website. We were waiting on one clarification on the premium pay that we had done, just to be sure that we had included the FICA amount on that, so that we have the exact figure that we've actually approved. And once I have that from Jenna Bradley, we'll get this up on the website, okay? So with that, could I have a vote on the motion that's before us? All those in favor? Roll call, please.
Tishman, aye.
Piper, aye.
Lumber,
Fowles,
no.
aye. All those opposed?
Lumber, no.
Okay, thank you. All right. Okay. Next, the assistant accountant job search. Any news on that, Ed, where we're aiming to go with this?
Yes, the Finance Committee did approve that PRF, so it has now been posted on the town website and the town bulletin board.
Okay. And then other than, I think we talked about not using Indeed probably. Do we have other ones that we're planning on reaching out to, or through the various?
I've reached out for some information from ZipRecruiter, which seems to be another popular one, to see if they're any easier to deal with, and just waiting to hear back from that. And if the select board would like me to move forward with some other posting, I would ask you to give me a budget to do that, a budget figure, I should say.
Okay, yeah.
Have you posted it on the Facebook page? I know that some people like to share
I don't know if it's been
employment.
posted on the Facebook page or not. I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't see it on here. I see that one for the highway department.
Are you on the town Facebook page or the
On the
community
town
one?
no, the town Facebook
Town,
page.
yeah.
The official town Facebook page.
The official one, right.
Yeah.
Okay, correct, yes.
I like to share job opportunities on Facebook and
Right.
LinkedIn. So
Okay.
if possible, that'd be great.
Yeah, Francine, you had a question?
Yeah, I just want to mention, we also talked about contacting other towns to see if they had any part-time employees who could pick this up as extra work, since this is also a part-time position. Whether or not there were any, assistant accountants or someone who would meet those qualifications.
I guess I'm wondering, and I don't know, we've had the Kinshirf folks that I know do the accounting for many, many different towns. Would it be an idea to reach out to Eric and Eric Kinshirf and just find out if there are other towns where they're working, if they have, part-time assistant accountants that they might know of? Would that be an avenue to?
You can always reach out.
Yeah, just to explore, just to get some other ideas. They seem to be covering several different towns around.
Yes. Yeah.
That if they happen to know other towns that they're working with that might have a part-time arrangement that could be of interest, that would be another way to look at it, okay?
Yeah.
All right, moving on to COVID-19 update. Ed, anything there? Do we have our new test kits? Did they ever come in from the state yet?
From talking with the health director, I believe they have.
Okay,
I think they came in a couple weeks ago.
okay. And do we know what we're planning to do to distribute, or are people just to know that we do have more test kits here, home
I
test kits?
Have no idea.
Okay.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll find that out, Francine, at the next meeting, if they have a plan for other distribution of the test kits. I think we had about 1,000, if I'm not mistaken, that were supposed to come in from the state. And just to find out if Board of Health has a recommended plan for distribution on those. Anything in terms of other data, numbers in town? Haven't
No.
seen too much. We know it's definitely around. I've heard of more people that
It's still around, yes.
have come down ill lately, so everybody try to take your precautions and be safe. East Street Bridge update.
It's moving forward. They did do the second pour of concrete on the bridge, and still on track at this point to be completed by the end of September.
Oh, yeah. And we had seen something, I'd seen it somewhere, that because of steel deliveries, et cetera, that might slip a little bit further, or is that still?
That's old news
That's
that
old
made
news?
the paper last week, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, we knew with basically the steel delay probably in around January, so, yeah.
So that's kind of old news, and so we're
Yeah,
still.
steel's now here, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So we're aiming at the end of September, hopefully.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. Okay. Yeah, the photos look great. It's looking like it's really
Actually taking form, so.
moving along, yes,
Yeah.
indeed. Okay. Voice over IP, anything moving forward there yet?
That's moving forward. TPX is programming the phones in the system, and I still expect that the end of August, beginning of September for installation.
Okay, very good. All right. Good. Any questions for anything offhand? Okay, then I guess we are down to personnel change forms, so PCF. So I guess we do have to go back. We have an approval we need to do. We didn't do that, actually, on the PCF for the conservation, no, the PRF. I thought we had done that. Okay. I guess we had not. We had talked about it, but not before, now that Finance Committee has signed it. So we have a personnel requisition form for the conservation agent. This 2-year position at $19,500 each of the 2 years. Could I have a motion to approve the PRF?
So move.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? Okay, if not, could I have a roll call vote, please? All those in favor?
Tishman, aye.
Piper, aye.
Fowles, aye.
I'm fine approving that. Lumber, aye.
Okay. And we have 2 others that's approved. We took care of the police department one. We have 2 others for the treasurer's office. John, you want to handle these 2, or?
Yeah, I can. These have not gone through PPB yet. It's the same individual. One is an emergency 2-week appointment that was effective July 11th for the position of what's replacing Paula Dewberry. If the position's on here, I'm not seeing it.
Is it the admin clerk?
Yeah.
It's the admin
Treasurer.
clerk, I
Admin clerk.
believe, in the treasurer's office.
It is a non-benefited, the 2-week emergency appointment is a non-benefited position, $17.64 per hour, which is the budgeted amount approved, signed by the department head and the town accountant. We also, I don't know if we want to take them up together, we also have for the same person a permanent part-time benefited eligible after the end of the 2-week emergency appointment. Same dollar amount in the budget, approved by both department head and the town accountant.
Okay. All right, and this is for an Angela Bolduc,
I
believe.
yeah.
Right, so with that, we have both the emergency appointment and the longer appointment. If we could have a motion, well, that's basically the motion. Do we have a second to approve these?
Second.
Okay.
Who made the motion?
Oh,
I did.
John did,
Okay,
basically.
thanks, John.
Do we have any discussion about these? Again, these will all, I assume they'll be going through PQB on Thursday or whenever you guys are
Correct.
meeting to sign these, yeah. So again, it's basically assuming we have signatures at PQB for any of these, okay? All right, if no other discussion, could we have a vote, please? All those in favor of both the emergency appointment, let's take them together, the emergency appointment and the longer permanent appointment, I guess I'll call it. All those in favor,
Fishman, aye.
roll call.
Tishman, aye.
Piper, aye.
Lumber, aye.
Fowles, aye. Okay. So that covers both of them approved. Thank you. All right, I think that's it for PCFs and PRFs. Next, we have one license permit. This is for a one-day wine and malt permit for Alex Marquez of the Zephyr Behavioral Health Care Center. He's apparently out of Hatfield. This is a one-day event at Conant Park Pavilion on July 23rd from 10 in the morning until 6 in the evening. It's a business picnic. And it looks like all the permissions are here from the Parks Department, et cetera. Would I have a motion to approve?
I move to approve of the one-day wine and malt permit for Zephyr Behavioral Health Care at Conant Park Pavilion on July 23rd, 2022.
Okay. And could I have a second?
Second.
All right. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor?
Tishman, aye.
Piper, aye.
Lumber, aye.
Fowles, aye. Okay.
And I just have a question. Ed, do you need me to sign it? And if so, I can come in tomorrow. Make arrangements to sign it tomorrow.
Three signatures are plenty. It's,
Okay.
yeah.
Good. Okay. All right. And then next, Francine, if you'd like, we do have a whole bunch of warrants here. If you'd like to read those off.
We do. It's a busy time. Anyway, warrant 49A for $34.69, and then a reversal of that amount for warrant 2249B. I think the reversal occurred first, and then they issued a new check, so one of this, it was just a wash. Warrant W22-51, a vendor warrant in the amount of $297,881.82. P22-52 for $318,417.92. It's payroll warrant. Payroll warrant 22-52LS for $124,159.61. And that's to the summer salaries for the teachers who elect to take their summer salary in lump sum at the end of the school year. Then we have PD 22-52 for $72,830.22 payroll deduction. Then we have another payroll deduction for the warrant. For retirement for PD 22-52A in the amount of $182,671.27. And that is a full year prepayment into the retirement system, which makes us eligible for a very significant discount. So we always take advantage of that at the beginning of the new fiscal year. W22-53, a vendor warrant in the amount of $499,923.43. Payroll warrant 22-54, $123,032.76. Payroll deduction warrant, PD 22-54/23-1. That all means this is the first one for this fiscal year, in the amount of $62,606.95. Payroll warrant 23-1 for $186,668.26. And the reason this series of warrants are as high is because we have contracts that we have, service contracts and other contracts we do at the beginning of the fiscal year, which we pay. We have dues to organizations, which we pay one time at the beginning of the year. So when we get that next expense report, there are going to be some categories that already are spent out at 100%, but that's the only payment that will go from that line item for the year.
Okay. Any questions on anyone? I just have one. It just strikes me in terms of the amount. On the payroll warrant, 2254 for the 123,000, and that's seemingly a smaller one compared to usual. So is that because we had a couple of days in June split over the 2 fiscal years, or is that the supplemental pay or retro pay?
That's another issue. That's another item. Thanks for bringing it up. It's the salaried people are paid in over a period of 26 pay cycles. So their full pay for that fiscal year was completed by June 30th. There was an overlap in the biweekly pay between June and July. So this would have been for the portion either for the end of June or the few days in the beginning of the July fiscal year.
Okay, that's what I was kind of figuring.
23.
Yeah. Okay, Ed, anything else? Yeah? All right.
I got one question.
Yep.
Under warrant W22-51, page 2, the last item, Southwestern New Hampshire District Fire Mutual Aid, $2,450 for fire truck maintenance. Quick Google search makes that look like that's a radio system, like broadcasting rights to listen.
I believe that's his pager notification system, but I can double check and let you know.
But would it be under fire truck maintenance? It just strikes me odd that something related to mutual aid notification.
Be under
Communications, I would see if we were putting a radio in the truck maybe or something, but
Maybe it may specifically be for the ambulance. Let me find out for you.
well, on that case, devil's advocate, don't we have an ambulance maintenance fund?
Let me find out the details.
We've put
for
it
you
in ambulance
of
maintenance line.
which one it actually is supposed to fall under.
Yeah, we put it in, we do have the ambulance expenses, and we've got an ambulance maintenance line now in the budget, correct? Good catch, John, that does seem a little bit odd to be put under fire truck maintenance, but, okay.
I know he was waiting for one at the end, and I might have gotten my signals crossed, so.
Okay, so that was warrant 2251, page 2. Okay. All right, any others that pop out to anybody? Not?
I just wonder if it's possible, because we have a couple days left for the encumbrance, to do an inquiry of the wire department to see if the town has any outstanding bills, to make sure they get encumbered. i.e. cemetery.
Actually, I believe the cemetery is paid up, but good question, because there always seems to be one or
Water
two.
bill that didn't get paid.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and are they, well, separate issue in terms of hoping to do any of the work on the cemetery lines, because those are still down for the most part, I think, so. All right. Any other documents? None. We have some, one set of minutes to approve from July 12th. That was our last meeting, very short meeting, where we were basically just dealing with the transfer number 7 and a couple of other minor issues.
I'll make a motion to approve the July 12th, 2022, 6 p.m. minutes.
Okay, could I have a second, please?
I'll second.
All right. All those in favor?
Tishman, aye.
I will abstain since I was absent.
Okay, Fowles, aye.
Lumber, aye.
Okay, right, both Rini and Joy were absent at that meeting. Okay, good, that's that. Pending items, a couple things. Old Town Hall, and this, I think, Ed, we've just got to reach out in terms of the actual work to be done on the Town Hall now that we had approved the ARPA funds for the painting and carpentry work, right? I don't know.
I missed the old in front of Town Hall. I'm going, what carpentry work? Okay,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, so that's one thing we do want to keep on moving on, so we can at least whether we can get anything done this fall. I mean, we were hoping to not to have to go through another winter with things deteriorating, but we need to get on somebody's schedule at some point here. Any word back from the Beagle Club Clearwater boundary issue?
No, I did talk to them, the treasurer, on the phone. I sent him an email. I did not receive a response to the email, which I followed up, was a follow-up to my phone call. So not being sure if maybe he didn't receive it or not, I also sent out a follow-up hard copy letter along with a copy of the agreement today, just in case, like I say, that he did not receive the email version of that.
Right, okay. Anything on the Green Community Grant that we need to be dealing with? Any upcoming projects that could satisfy?
We've got a couple that I'm going to have to dig into the proposals and bring back to the board.
Okay. I think the East Street, part of the section from College Highway to Whispering Meadow, we talked about last time.
Yes.
So this is just to let us keep reminding ourselves that it's still got to move. It's not officially on the TIP proposal yet, but it's moving in that direction. Is that right?
That is correct.
So once it actually gets on there, we'll take it off, maybe. And then future ARPA funds allocation. I'm going to guess that we should try to do something at the, if not the second, then the third meeting of August for sure, which would be that would be the 30th of August. So if anybody has other applications to get in, we need to get them in time to have that discussion. Okay? And hopefully we'll have our second tranche of money by then as well.
I do know that we just might be a little behind in getting it, but most of the towns received it all early last week, at the end of last week.
Good. Well, it should be coming then. Okay, and then other than that, our next select board meetings for August are the 2nd, 16th, and 30th, and so be it.
I have one question, and I don't know if maybe we want to make this a pending item until it's resolved, but of all the letters that we sent out, certified mail?
Yes.
Have any been returned one way or the other?
We've gotten the return receipts back. We have not received any
letters with
responses from those individuals.
Right.
So.
Okay.
So there were 6 certified letters that went out, and we've got the 6 tabs back. So everybody at least has received it. We had given them, I believe, until July 27th, I think was the time frame. So again, we'll pick that up on the August 2nd meeting and find out where things stand. But that's good. All right. And then, lastly, I'm sorry, I should have mentioned this under ARPA. The quarterly report form for ARPA that we talked about briefly at our meeting, last meeting, I tinkered with that, redesigned it, and Judy has sent out the notification to those that were earlier approved under the ARPA to hurry up and get a report in, especially since these are pretty much completed ones by August 1st, and then she'll be sending out a report form to all the other ones that have been approved for an October report time, so to get people on their quarterly report schedule. So we have closed the loop on that, hopefully. Okay, so that's it. Could I have a motion to adjourn if there's nothing else?
So moved.
Second.
All right, all those in favor?
Lumber aye.
All right,
Bye-bye.
Fowles aye. All right, we are adjourned at about 7:37. Thank you very much, everybody. Thanks, Francine.
Thank you all.
Thank you.